Hey everybody, Chad Madden here, and today I want to talk with you about the survey we did of private practice owners, biggest mistake I've ever made with marketing. And before I tell you about the results of what came back, um, if you're a private practice owner and you're looking for direct access marketing tools, we have a ton of them for free over at learnwithbreakthrough.com. But what happened was 3 or 4 years ago now, we surveyed over 300 private practice owners all over the US. And I believe we had some from Canada as well, physio owners. And we asked the question, what was the biggest mistake you've ever made in marketing your private practice? And in the end, we had all these responses. When we filtered them through, it looked like there were about 37 unique responses. And let me give you an idea of what some of the mistakes that people talked about. They talked about newsletters don't work. They talked about t-shirts don't work, or other types of swag like cups and hats and stuff like that. Programs don't work. Billboards don't work. Radio doesn't work. TV doesn't work. Facebook doesn't work. SEO doesn't work. Yelp doesn't work. Physician luncheons don't work. Print ads don't work. Direct mail doesn't work. Just about anything that you can possibly imagine was in one of those 37 responses. And here's the big secret with that. When we took a look at those answers, every single one of them was a media type response. And if you're familiar with any of the Dan Kennedy books, the No BS direct marketing would be the easiest one to go to. It's available on Amazon. You can get it there. But if you study direct response marketing, which is really what we want to be using when we're a private practice owner going direct to the consumer with direct access marketing, whether we have direct access or quasi-direct access or none at all. When we talk about that, there are three components to a successful marketing piece. And Dan teaches this market, message, media match triangle, which is genius. And anytime that we have a piece that works, a campaign that works, an advertisement that works, that's direct to the consumer, those three things must align. And they are market, which is we're very specific about who we want to reach. Marketing to a 53-year-old grandmother with back pain is significantly different than marketing to a 15-year-old gymnast with back pain. There's a different conversation going on in their head, and we want to be very clear about who we're targeting. So selecting a target market is the first leg of that triangle. The next leg, or the next side, would be our message. And nobody came back and said, well, I wasn't really specific in my target market, and when they're talking about mistakes that they made in their marketing. And nobody said, I didn't take the time to craft a really good message that resonated in the mind of my target market, right? So our message is what we're saying. And if you're like me, early on in the days of private practice, I would kind of do this like marketing roulette, where an ad, somebody's selling ads, a salesperson for a local media company would come through. I'm busy treating patients. I just want to get rid of them. So I sign up for like a middle of the road or a very minimal investment type thing to test. That's how I justify it in my brain. The deadline for the copy is like 3 weeks later, and I don't really have anything. So I ask them to do it. They launch it. We don't get any results, and it's a disaster when I'm trying to go back and say, should we do this again or not? So I get it. As a private practice owner, we typically make mistakes like that. But that message angle, or that message leg, that message side is very, very key. And to learn how to do that takes some time. In general, the biggest mistake that I see PTs making is they speak like PTs to their prospective patients. And really, what is significantly better is when we talk on a 5th grade reading level, a layperson reading level, or communicating level. So if we're using words like spondylolisthesis or rotator cuff tendinopathy, things like that, that doesn't resonate really well with what is going on in the mind of our potential patient. What is going on is they're saying things like, wow, like I just want to be back to normal again. I have this pain, I want to get rid of it. I want to be able to do some sort of functional activity, whether it's sitting on the floor playing Matchbox cards with a grandchild or getting back to lifting at the gym. I want to be able to run again, stuff like that. So we want to make sure that we pay special attention to any time that we're testing a media and that we're investing in the media, we're also investing primarily time in making sure that message is right. And that's a really big key. And finally, we want to select the right media, a media that our target market is consuming. 53-year-old woman, likely on Facebook, right? 15-year-old female, likely not on Facebook, probably using Snapchat or Instagram or some other media channel, right? 53-year-old woman, likely consuming direct mail. 15-year-old female, likely not consuming direct mail. So you get the idea there. We want to use the right type of media. We want to pick the right target market in terms of the person that we want to attract, and we want to be crafting the right message that resonates with that target market, so they actually respond and raise their hand and say, yes, I have back pain. Yes, I have shoulder problems. Yes, I have whatever the problem that you're trying to attract in. So I expand more on this over at learnwithbreakthrough.com. You can go over there, lots of tools, lots of goodies there as well. And finally, I want to share a personal story with you of how we believe that we made a mistake in media selection and how we revived it. So when I started doing workshops direct to the consumer back in January of 2008, the one thing that worked really well for us was this hideous goldenrod insert in the local Sunday newspaper. And in the beginning, it worked really, really well. We got up to a high of, I think, 48 people registering with that. I've shared that copy with many of you. But we had this insert. It worked very well until about 2011, 2012. So we got a 3 or 4 year run out of it. And at its peak, we were printing and distributing more than 100,000 of these inserts. And this is how I made a mental mistake myself. So we saw our numbers climb from 27 the whole way up to gradually up to 48 was our peak response. And then the wheels fell off because the newspaper died. It shifted from a daily paper plus a Sunday to only 3 days a week. I think they do something like Tuesday, Friday, Sunday right now. And the readership greatly was demolished. I think it decreased by about 80%. It was replaced with an online news feed. And we didn't adjust. So I didn't know about the market message media match triangle. And I remember the last workshop I sent out over 100,000 of these inserts, and which was a significant price. And we had 2 people register and nobody showed up. And I remember, it was a Saturday morning, like 10 a.m. and I was like, wow, like I really need to figure this out. And my answer at the time was, newspaper doesn't work. We shut it down. Fast forward here, about 4 years, and so 2 or 3 years ago we had some marketing money to test, and that Jim Collins principle, we wanted to fire bullets before we started firing cannonballs. And I said, well, let's see if we can get something out of the newspaper. We're a little bit smarter now in marketing. We've learned a lot along the way, and rather than a goldenrod insert, there's this new thing called the Spadia. And a Spadia is basically a spine ad on the newspaper. So you get half of the front page and you get full back page, and the newspaper fits in this really nice large advertisement. And so we tried it, and we used almost the same exact copy. This time it was full color just because that's the way that they printed, and we got an amazing response. We had over 70 people register in that first Spadia ad, and it cost less than half of what the inserts cost. So again, we had the same exact target market as 2011, 2012. We had the same exact message. I hadn't changed the copy at all. And we used the same media, but we just used it in a different way because we learned that there was still readership, even though the readership numbers went from like 460,000 down to 100,000 or so for this said paper. But we got an amazing response out of it, completely revived the newspaper for us, and now we do it once a month, and we've been on that for the last 2 or 3 years. So in summary, the big point is, you want to match, if you want your marketing to be successful, you have to have the right market, you have to select the right media for that target market, something that they're already consuming from, and you have to have an appropriate or the right message that resonates with them so they act on it. Anyhow, just wrapping this up, that website one more time, if you're looking for tools to help you in your direct access marketing efforts, you're going to want to head on to learnwithbreakthrough.com. This is Chad Madden. Thank you for investing in your private practice, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for watching this video. If you found this helpful and you want to learn more, then head over to learnwithbreakthrough.com to access our free in-depth training tutorials. That's learnwithbreakthrough.com. Thanks again for tuning in.